When I tell people that I lost 125 pounds on a GLP-1 medication, I think they expect me to tell them about my workout routine and meal plans. But the truth is, I did a bunch of little things, and to some people, they might sound completely unhinged. These things I did weren't part of any kind of diet or specific workout plan. They were just all the little small things and small decisions that I made along the way that resulted in huge changes. In this video, I'm sharing 7 of the most unhinged things that I did along the way. They might sound a little wild, but they were game changers for me. So hey there, I'm Megan. I am down 125 pounds. I started at 243 pounds in August of 2023. I've currently been maintaining my weight for almost 10 months at around 118 pounds. I'm out in my kids' treehouse today because it's the only semi-quiet place I could find. I'm a homeschool mom. I have 3 kids. They're 13 and under. My husband works from home, and my house is always wild. We're also pet sitting this week, and finding a quiet place to film videos is a bit of a challenge, as you might imagine. So I'm trying it outside. I've got my little muff here. It looks like I have a little snowball. I'm just thinking it adds to the outfit. But I feel like I am matching the curtains of my kids' treehouse, so works out. We'll see. The sun keeps going behind clouds too and changing. So we'll see if this video works out or if I'm gonna need to find better places to film. But back to the video. The things that I did were not, I didn't necessarily decide to do these things because I wanted to be extreme. They all happened incrementally and were small decisions that I made. And I think that is really the key. And I think if you are starting on a weight loss journey, and especially if you have a large amount of weight to lose, if you have more than 60 pounds, let's say, especially if you have more than 100 pounds to lose, you have to focus on the long-term game. This is not going to be a quick fix, even if you're taking a GLP-1 medication. It is not an easy button. As much as people like to think that it is cheating or taking the easy way out, those of us who have been on this journey know that that couldn't be further from the truth. A GLP-1 medication is an amazing tool, but it doesn't do the work for you. So while maybe I could have lost weight if I didn't do all of these things, because GLP-1 medications are amazing and they are helpful, I feel like I lost this weight in the most sustainable, healthy way that I could for myself, while I was not just losing weight, but gaining health at the same time. And that's really what I was focused on. I was really not going into this journey with a goal weight in mind. I wanted to be a healthier person because I have young children, because I want to be around for many more decades. I wanted to change my life in a way that I was going to be living a life that was healthy and not just a short-term sacrifice where I was going to be eating less or eating different things, but I really wanted to change my whole life. So these unhinged habits are the kinds of things that I did along this journey and maintain doing today. So being in maintenance looks a lot like what losing weight did. I don't do a lot of things differently. I might give myself a little bit more leeway on things, but for the most part, my maintenance journey has been just about the same as my weight loss journey. So these are the kinds of decisions that I had to make to seek steady and consistent progress week after week and month after month. And I think anybody else who's been on a journey and has lost over 100 pounds can attest to that. It is all of these small micro decisions that you're making in a day that really add up to finding success. Okay, so let's get into it. So the very first thing that I decided to start doing, I actually read a book. It was called Outlive. It's by Peter Attia. I read this book in July of 2023, and it really got me started on this journey. It is probably the reason that I started on a GLP-1 medication, because this book talks about not just lifespan, but health span, and wanting to live longer, but be healthier during that longer life. You know, we have so much technology that people can live a long time, but I don't want to be in a nursing home. I want to be healthy, and I want to be strong and able to move my body. And I knew that at the weight that I was, that was not going to be possible. That was not something that I was going to be able to do. After I read that book, I knew I had to start moving my body more. But the problem was I was 243 pounds. So I started on a GLP-1 medication. I lost weight pretty quickly. So I've lost 20 pounds the first month, 10 pounds the month after that, By the time I was 30 pounds down, I was feeling so good. Some of the things that were aching on my body were starting to subside. I could see a light at the end of the tunnel. And at that point, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I am going to be a person who takes the stairs. So I made that small decision for myself and I started taking the stairs. I know people talk about this all the time. You should take the stairs. Well, I took it seriously. So I started taking the stairs. Everywhere I went, I took the stairs. If I went to the doctor, I took the stairs. If I went to an office building, I took the stairs. We went and stayed at a hotel. I was about 30 pounds down in my journey. We stayed at a hotel for like 4 days because we were having some work done on our house. And we stayed on the 6th floor of this hotel. It was a winding staircase. I have a picture of it. I'll put it here. And that was a real test to my commitment. Was I a person who took the stairs only when it was convenient? Or was I a person who took the stairs? No, I took the stairs. I went up and down those 6 flights of stairs so many times over those 4 days. The hotel we were at had a water park. My kids are playing at the water park. So we're in and out of the pool. We're swimming. We're down for dinner. We're hanging out. You know, we're doing all the things. And I'm going up and down those stairs multiple times a day. I was still over 200 pounds and it was not easy. I was huffing. I was puffing. It was September in Texas, which is basically like summer. So it was hot. I was sweating and I did it. And I think making that decision and telling myself, I'm a person who takes the stairs all the time, not just when it's easy. And being able to do that was such a game changer and really just helped me with the motivation to keep going and to make more small decisions that were going to impact my life in such big ways. Okay, so number 2 thing that I did. One time my kids wanted to get ice cream. We live at the very back of a neighborhood. It's about a mile to the front entrance to our neighborhood. And then there's some little shopping centers and things up at the front of our neighborhood. But Texas is not very walkable. We live in the suburbs and people don't walk anywhere. People drive their cars. Like if you're going to a store and then you're going to go to the store next door, you're going to go drive your car and move it to go to the store next door. So I decided that I'm a person who walks places. And so when my kids said they wanted to go get ice cream, I said, sure, let's go for a walk. And they looked at me like I was insane. Again, this was pretty early in my journey. I was not down a super significant amount of weight. I was maybe down 40 or 50 pounds. And we walked to get ice cream. It ended up being, it's about like a 2.5 mile trip to get there and back, and had our little custard, and it was good and it was fun, but I wanted to be a person who walks places instead of taking the easy way. So I think that is a luxury to have the time to do those kinds of things. Of course, it took a lot longer to walk to go get ice cream with my 3 children than it would to just drive there. But we're home all the time. I homeschool. We have the luxury of time. So what am I avoiding walking for? So now I'm a person who walks to the library. It's a like 3-mile walk to the library. I walk in my neighborhood. All my neighbors know I'm a walker. If I go to a parking lot and I'm going to one store and I'm going to go to another store that's even way down the shopping center, I'm going to walk there. I'm not going to drive my car. I'm a walker. I'm a person who walks. And I think, again, making that decision, even when it wasn't easy, made it that much more satisfying and successful to be a long-term habit that I have kept up and is helping me in maintenance now, so that maintenance doesn't feel different or harder, or it feels stressful or annoying that I have to keep doing these things even though I'm at my goal weight, because it's just become part of my lifestyle. Okay, number 3, I stopped hanging out with my friends. I love being with people. I am definitely an extrovert. I get energized by being with people and I love it. I would hang out with my friends. We do a co-op once a week and we would just sit around and talk for hours. We could sit there for 4 hours and chit chat and talk, and it was amazing. I loved it. I could get together with a friend. We could go have lunch and we could sit and talk for 2 hours. I would have friends over and sit in my backyard and talk for 2 hours. And I stopped. I went cold turkey. No more hanging out with friends and just sitting there. Because again, I'm a person who has goals and I'm trying to move my body. So I'm going to take the part that I like about hanging out with my friends, which is the conversation, and I'm going to double time that with something that I need to do, which is move my body. And I started walking with my friends. So instead of sitting there for 4 hours, we started walking. And before I knew it, some days we walked 5 miles and we just had conversation and we would talk while our kids played and walked and walked and walked. Instead of saying, hey, do you want to meet for lunch? I haven't seen you in a while. I want to catch up. I'd say, hey, do you want to meet and go on a hike? And I would go on a 5, a 6, a 7 mile hike with friends. And as a busy mom, I don't get alone time and like one-on-one conversation time with other adults very often. So it actually turned out to be the biggest blessing and an amazing way to make the time that I was spending before, I was getting what I was getting out of it before, plus extra. I was getting like deeper connections. I was getting one-on-one time with people, and it was such a gift to my friendships. And of course, there are some people who aren't going to walk 8 miles with me. So I always ask my friends, some people we are, more of like a 30-minute walk, or some friends I know we could do like the 8-mile walk. So it depends on who it is, but I think just pairing movement with those social experiences has been, again, a game changer. Just something so amazing that I didn't know was an option for me before. But once I made the decision that I'm not hanging out with friends and just sitting there all the time, it opened up a world of possibilities. All right, number 4, I gave up alcohol cold turkey. I stopped drinking when I started a GLP-1 medication. I was never a huge drinker, but my husband and I did love a good glass of wine. We have been to Napa. We got wine deliveries and boxes. I love a good cocktail as long as it has a lot of sugar and fruit in it. I was all about that. We live in Texas and we have a lot of Mexican restaurants, so I was always up for a margarita on the weekends. And I think just saying that alcohol was not worth it to me because I was a person who had goals. My goal was to be healthier, fitter, to live longer and have a better quality of life, and alcohol just didn't fit in that picture for me. And honestly, it wasn't hard. That was probably the easiest thing I did on this journey, was to give up alcohol. I just got back from the Downsize cruise a couple weeks ago, and people were drinking and enjoying it, which is totally fine. Everybody gets to make their own decisions for themselves. For me, it was not hard at all to just say, oh, I don't drink alcohol anymore. And I had plenty of fun. I danced the night away, even without having a cocktail or a drink. Number 5 is I stopped eating fast food and at restaurants. I went from eating out 6 to 7 days a week, sometimes multiple days a week, multiple times a day, and I just gave it up. I said, I don't need to eat at restaurants. I went from thinking of hunger as an emergency where I had to pull over and get something. I had to get a snack for my kids. I needed to get a treat before we went home. I just stopped and I realized we live in a big city, but anywhere we go, we're within 30, 40 minutes of home, and 30 to 40 minutes of being hungry is not going to kill me. Hunger is not an emergency. There are very few reasons why I need to get food out these days, and I made the decision that if I'm going to eat food at a restaurant, I want it to be because it's a social experience. I want to enjoy it. I want to go to a restaurant that has quality food and I get to sit down and eat food that somebody else has prepared for me, because I cook 3 meals a day at home for my family of 5, and I want it to be an experience. And so my husband and I do go out on a date once a week, and we often enjoy a restaurant, and that's the once a week that we eat out. But other than that, I gave up eating at restaurants. And so people have asked me, hey, would you like to go get something to eat? And I'll say, no, thank you, and think of something else that we can do instead. But eating at a restaurant just isn't enjoyable for me anymore, so I don't do it. Number 6 is that I have sat with people eating and I don't eat. So So I made a rule for myself when I started on this journey that I was only going to eat when I was hungry. I know you'll hear a lot of opinions on that. Some people say you have to eat when you're not hungry, you know, fuel your body, yada, yada, whatever. For me, I was 243 pounds. I had a lot of fuel on my body. And if I was not putting in fuel via food, my body had plenty. It was going to use what I had. And so I relied on my hunger, which was definitely suppressed because of the GLP-1 medication. But that's why I was taking the medication. I didn't want to override that by saying, oh, I'm going to eat even though I'm not hungry. To me, that didn't make sense. So for me, I only ate when I was hungry. And if that meant I had planned a time, maybe I invited friends over and we had a pool party and we grilled and had stuff, but I wasn't hungry at that time, I sat down. I'll sit with a table full of people eating and I won't eat. And I am not going to feel weird about that, because I'm trusting my body and listening to my body and learning to be in tune with my body, which I have learned is what normal people do. Who knew? I previously would eat any time. If there was food in front of me, I was eating it. And I've learned, no, I am going to make my decisions based on my hunger and whether the food that is in front of me is something that I like, something that I want to eat. Is it a quality food? Does it help me meet my goals? And I can make all those decisions without any judgment on anybody else eating that food. And I can sit and have conversation all day long while people are eating, and it's just fine. Honestly, nobody ever said anything to me or ever cared, and I've done this many, many, many times. Number 7 is that I didn't eat my own birthday cake. I know that sounds terrible, but again, it was back to my decision to only eat when I was hungry and foods that just felt good to me at the time. I let my body kind of decide. And I turned 40 when I was almost 100 pounds down of my weight loss journey. So I was just about at a normal, healthy weight for my height. And my daughter made me the best, most beautiful cupcakes. She's an amazing baker. And I have an obsession with chai lattes. Maybe one day I'll make one on a video, but I have a complete obsession with chai lattes in the winter and the fall. And she made me chai latte cupcakes, which is so sweet. They were delicious. I did not eat one. We all sang happy birthday on my birthday, and I chose not to eat one because I wasn't hungry. I did save one and I ate it the next day, I think. And I think just little decisions like that, being able to delay a food. I'm not denying myself. That's another intermittent fasting book that I loved, was Delay, Don't Deny. You know, I'm not saying no forever, but I'm saying no for right now. I didn't want the cupcake. And I spent my whole life eating food mindlessly without thinking about it. And I wanted to put myself in control of eating, and with a GLP-1 medication on board in my brain, I was able to do that. So I'm gonna honor those cues and what my body is telling me, that I can celebrate with my kids and be so thankful that my daughter made these cupcakes and enjoy the moment of celebration of them singing to me. We can take our picture, all of that. Like, it doesn't lose any of the specialness because I'm not putting the cupcake in my mouth. It was still just as special and memorable, and I don't have to eat when I'm not hungry. None of these things were trendy or part of some program or somebody told me to do these things. They were just small decisions that lined up with who I wanted to be. I put myself in the place of, who do I want to be long term? I wanted to be a fit person. I wanted to be a healthy person. I wanted to be a person who is in control of eating and in control of what goes in their mouth, and who moves their body for fun. And what do you know? All those small decisions later, no matter how wacky or weird you think they are, they got me to where I am today. And honestly, it's nobody else's business what these small decisions you make are. Hopefully you have some people in your life that are supporting you and cheering you on along the way, but you don't have to have that. You don't have to explain yourself or give anybody an explanation about why you're making these decisions. You just have to know that you're doing it for you. And all of these small decisions will lead you to the biggest transformation, one that you couldn't possibly imagine. When I started this journey 125 plus pounds ago, I had no idea how amazing it was going to be way over on this side of things. And I hope that we all find that. And I hope that these small, bite-sized daily decisions can help you inch your way along the path to success, whatever that looks like for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what else you want to hear from me, and I'm happy to share more. Thanks so much.
Not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.